This video I want to speak about, is it Sifu or is it Freddy? Um, how should people address me? I think this is a very important topic for many people out there because everything out there is based on relationships, and we have friendships, we have teachers, we have family, things like that. I think we need to be more attentive of what labels we use and how we choose to use it. If we don't use labels properly, then we just shouldn't use them. So what I'm saying is, fighters shouldn't be calling themselves martial artists, and martial artists shouldn't be calling themselves fighters, for example. Um, don't call something love when it's lust. Don't call something freedom when it's slavery. You know, um, so these labels, Freddy or Sifu. Now, if you call me either one, I'm not gonna take offense for the average person. For a customer, a student, a client. Sometimes I call people students. Sometimes I call certain people clients. Sometimes I call people potentially disciples, and they're all different. Now, when I say the average person, when it comes to my children, um, I'm their father. Now, if my child calls me Freddy, there's a problem. I was contemplating and thinking about that, and me and my wife are discussing it, but there's a problem. My children can't call me Freddy. My children have to call me Dad or Daddy, because I'm their father. And the reason is because, when people call me by Freddy, it's like a view of equality, you know, like a friendship. We call each other by first name when we're friends, but when there's a professional relationship, or when you view somebody with high respect, or somebody is one of your great teachers, you don't call them by their first name. You're even taught that in school, especially in college. You'll say, professor. You don't just call them by the first name. When you're in court and it's the judge in front of you, you don't ever call him by his first name. You call him Your Honor. When it comes to police officers, you don't call him by first name. You call him officer. And even when you're in grade school, you don't just call the teacher by their first name. Usually you call them Mr. and then their last name. So these titles are used as a form of respect, to show greater respect, and to show that you acknowledge this person to be a teacher of you. If you don't acknowledge that person as a teacher and you view that person as your equal, then it becomes more of a friendship. And there's nothing wrong with friendships, but friendships it's not a formal learning. Yes, you can learn from friends, but you also learn a lot of negative things from friends. There's a lot of negative influence from friends. There's a lot of, it's informal. It's not a concentrated learning experience. You have knowledgeable friends, and then you have friends that just are completely ignorant. And when you view somebody as your equal, there's no acknowledgement that this person has anything of greater value or ability to teach you. Because you could have, say on Facebook, 5,000 friends, or you could have 100 friends, 50 friends. The more friends that you have, the more that it shows that they're all not important. There's no friend that's sticking out to be, oh, this is a friend that I can learn a lot from, because, there's something special about this friend. That's why people say, oh, this is my best friend, because they're trying to say that I'm separating this friend from all the rest because this is the one that's really important. So that label, best friend, has some significance. You'll always have more friends than you will have teachers, because teachers, it takes a lot to become a teacher. It takes, to get to a certain level of development where you could help people in certain areas towards a positive path. Even in religion, they'll have like the pastor or priest. Like, there might be 10,000 people that come to the church, but there's only like maybe just one pastor, because he's respected as somebody who knows so much more than just the basic audience, and that's why he's taking that leading role to give the sermons or whatnot. Same thing with a professor. You go into a classroom, there might be 500 students, but then there's one professor, because he is respected to be somebody who can share knowledge, and wisdom, possibly wisdom, to these masses of people who just are not at that level. So when you respect somebody as a teacher, you're showing, you are acknowledging there's so much more for me to learn from you. But when you just call somebody by first name, you're just viewing them as an equal, and you might acknowledge that this person knows a little bit more than you, but it's not much more, because you know a lot yourself, and you have a friendly relationship, which is fine, but your growth is going to be hindered, your personal growth, because if you don't view anybody around you as teachers, everybody's just a friend, then your growth is hindered. But as soon as you accept somebody as a teacher, no matter if it's a professor, a doctor, a lawyer, a kung fu sifu, or a spiritual guide, now your growth is going to be greatly enhanced. So even when we pick up a book and read, like, indirectly we're acknowledging this person to be our teacher, because why else would we take 10 hours, 20 hours out of our time to read somebody's book? But that's not a direct interaction. You're not seeing that person day to day and saying good morning, good evening, and hello, goodbye. You're not reminding yourself that this is your teacher by saying, Sifu or Mr. or whatever, Dr. Robbins, or Professor. Like, you're not going through that daily interaction. And then when I bring it back to my children, they will forever be my children. I will forever be their father. So it is incorrect for them to say, just call me by Freddie, because they call their peers at school, which are their age, by their first name. You cannot clump my relationship with my children to be the same as the relationship that they have with their peers. That is a completely different relationship, and the title signifies the difference, and they will always be there because it's by blood. But when it comes to a stranger that you meet off the streets, or when it comes to the martial arts, people that are coming through the door, some of them will view you as a teacher. Some of them will just view you as a servant, to them. Some of them will just view you as just a trainer or a coach. These are more temporary relationships. When you just view somebody as a coach, so that was my coach for high school, that was my coach for junior high, that's my coach for college. It's like a temporary relationship. But a Sifu is more of a permanent relationship that's forever enduring, even until after the Sifu might die. You still respect that person for your entire life as the teacher, the master. Just like when your father passes away, that's always your father. It just doesn't change. And that's how a Sifu relationship is supposed to be. It's a long term, it's forever, it's enduring. Like the Sifu is always above you, as far as the knowledge and wisdom from the martial arts, because your journey started with them and it's going to end with them. Because he's always going to be, if he's a real Sifu, he's going to always be training and progressing. Just like he's always going to be, aging and gaining more experience. And you cannot beat him in time, because as soon as you live 24 hours more, he lives 24 hours more. You live 2 years more, he lives 2 years more. He's gaining experience, you're gaining experience. But you started way back here, he's all the way here, you're never going to catch up. It just doesn't work that way. It's like the son catching up to age with the father. No, if the father takes care of himself, there's no catching up. The father, is not an alcoholic, doesn't smoke, doesn't take drugs. He exercises, he does what he's supposed to do. Then he's always going to be fighting time as he ages, and he's going to remain young physically, mentally, spiritually. He's going to keep growing and progressing. There's no catching up. It just doesn't happen that way. So it's just that respect as the father, it's always supposed to be there. So when I'm interacting with people for my business, majority of the people that I teach will probably be clients, customers, and I'm providing a service a lot of times for like fitness training. I'm providing a service, and they see me as a trainer, not a Sifu, but a trainer. They address me as just Sifu, so not Sifu, as Freddie. So it's more of a informal relationship, something where like friendly, and something where I help them get fit, but it's not like very formal. And that's fine, because for me, I make money either way. If I'm getting paid $50 an hour to be a Sifu, then that's great. If I'm getting $50 an hour to be paid as a trainer, and where they address me as Freddie, it doesn't matter to me. It's about the person and the type of experience that they want from their interaction with me. I cannot force people to call me Sifu. I cannot force them. And if somebody wants to call me Sifu, I'm not going to force them to call me Freddie. It's up to them what they want to call me, as long as it's something that's out of respect. Now, if people try to start calling me Jackie Chan, then I'm going to have a problem with that, because they're saying it out of disrespect. But there could be respect from somebody who calls me Freddie. There could be respect from somebody who calls me Sifu, But another thing that I see is when people use titles as a dress, a lot of times it can show humbleness, where they humble themselves before the teacher and acknowledge that this person has much to teach, and that you yourself have much to learn. It's more of a sign of humbleness. It can be, but then it could be used as a deceptive tool to just kind of stroke the ego of the teacher. So then the student is just kind of stroking him while the teacher strokes the student, and it's not out of real respect or real humbleness. It's just used as a facade, to become a crystallization of the ego on both parties. Because certain teachers could feel really great about themselves when so many people are calling them, by a certain title, and then they get attached to this title, and they have this feeling of great authority and power and control, and then it becomes something ugly. It's not they don't retain the title with humbleness, and it becomes like a disease, and it hinders their spiritual growth. And it's kind of like people that, the suck up or the kiss up, that knows that if he just really nice and friendly and always telling, it's like fake praise, fake respect. Given to the teacher as a way of like feeding him onto his ego, and then the student doesn't really have true respect. It was never there. He's participating in this because he wants to heighten himself to get at that level to that same level of power and authority over other people. So he'll kiss up to the boss so he could become a boss. But he's not truly respecting the boss or the teacher. It's just all a facade. It's all a fake. It's like a fake surrender, a fake acknowledgement, and of respect. And that happens a lot. And it makes it even more apparent when the teacher has to force the students to respect them by saying, you have to call me by this title. Now, when you're forcing a student to call you by a title, then it's not a real feeling of respect or acknowledgement as a teacher. It's like forcing somebody that you're dating to say that they love you. It's like, it can't be forced. It has to just come naturally. If it doesn't come natural, then just don't even deal with it. Don't even mention it. So when it comes to Freddie or Sifu, it can't be forced. It's something where it comes from within. Like, do you want this training to be informal or formal? Do you want to learn a lot and progress more quickly, or do you just want to take your time? Like, the choice is yours. Do you want a teacher in your life to help guide you through life, or do you just want somebody that's a friend just like everybody else? Do you just lump everybody into one category because everybody's your friend? But your view of friend could be different. You might not even have one friend, and then when you call somebody your friend, it means a lot because you don't have any other friends. This is your only friend. So for that person, it could be a significant thing to call somebody your friend. But when you have 10,000 friends and you just label this person as your friend, you just clump them into the category with 9,999 other people, and there's nothing significant about that relationship because you just clump them up with everybody else. You know, when we give people certain respect as teachers, as Sifus, as masters, as doctors, lawyers, whatever, we are signifying that this person has a special place in our life to help us in a certain area. You know, and that's why we have relationships such as husband and wives and brothers and sisters, and you know, this is my child. It's different. It's a different relationship. You know, so the difference between a client, a student, and a disciple, they're all different. You know, disciple's more of that lifelong connection with the master. The student is more temporary, you know, and then a client is even more temporary than a student. Or a client might be something that's more professional, you know, more of a professional relationship. A student might be something where there's half and half, you know, half professional, half friendship. And then the disciple is just, it's like family. You know, it's always gonna be there. You know, so there's these three different labels that are signifying three different things that we have to decide which label is gonna mean what for us. You know, so this is just an example of the interplay of labels and how it could change the way you think about certain things and certain relationships. And it's confusing because different labels mean different things for different people. You know, some people will say Sifu and they have a heart in their heart. They don't have any love or respect, but they still say Sifu. And some people say Sifu with much love and respect. So it's not even about the label, it's about the heart. You know, so you can't be too attached to the label. But the more that you understand the use of these labels, then maybe in your own life you could decide, you know, which label is to be best used at which moment. You know, but there could be hundreds or thousands of people that call me Freddie throughout my life, but there's not going to be that many people that call me Sifu compared to the people that call me Freddie. You know, Sifu's more, that label's more for people that want to connect on a deeper level beyond just a friendship or beyond just providing a service. You know, that's what that label is there for. It's an option for the people. Like, do they want to take it to the next level? Do they want to have the training more formal? It's up to them. You know, it's really up to them. I'm more about helping people progress in a natural way. I don't like to force people beyond their limitations. People just burn out. People have to go at their own pace. So it might take time for them to build up a certain respect towards me to be beyond just a friend, you know, or just a trainer, or just a coach. It takes time, and that's fine. Either way, it's fine with me.